With terrible things that happen in our lives and in the world, sometimes it can be hard to remember that God so loves the world. And also, because of those things, it can be hard to understand exactly what it means that God so loves the world. It was on Valentine's Day in 2008 that a gunman entered a packed lecture hall at Northern Illinois University, NIU, and opened fire, killing 5 students and wounding many others before he turned the gun on himself and took his life. I was a new pastor in DeKalb. Been there maybe 8 months. I was at a church just a few blocks from campus, sitting in my office when the terrible news hit. People started calling me right away because they were in lockdown on campus and they didn't know what was going on, but they knew that shots had been fired. And I heard the sirens from all the first responders headed toward campus, headed right past church toward campus. This was devastating to the community, not just the campus community, but the entire community, because Northern is a big school, and DeKalb is a relatively small town, and Northern happens to be probably the largest employer for the area. So the community and the college are very intertwined. Everyone was traumatized, everyone was shocked, and everyone was grieving. The next night, we held a prayer vigil in front of the Lutheran Campus Ministry Center, which is right on the corner of a busy intersection right in the heart of campus. And earlier that day, the campus pastor and the kids from the center erected a memorial. 6 identical white crosses, about 6 feet tall, with purple and red cloth draped over them. Red was the primary color of the university, and purple the color of mourning. All of these crosses facing east on that main intersection. And the reaction was outrage. People were outraged. There were angry letters to the editor of the campus newspaper. There were angry phone calls to the campus ministry center, and angry people stopped by to scold the grieving kids at the center, because there were 6 crosses. 6 crosses. Why 6? There were 5 victims. The shooter doesn't deserve to be remembered with the others. So why 6? Why 6? They demanded that answer from the campus pastor, Diane Dardone, a dear friend, who said to them, "There's 6 because God loves all God's children." 2 nights later, 2 more nights, an older man came into the Lutheran Campus Ministry Center. He had seen the signs there, welcome 24/7 for food, hot coffee, comfort, and care. He had driven 6 hours after he got off of work that day to get to NIU because he was deeply disturbed by what had happened and he needed to be there. And he'd been walking around campus for an hour or more before he got to the Lutheran Campus Ministry Center because he was looking for a place to leave the memorial gift that he had brought with him. His first stop was in front of Cole Hall. Cole Hall was the scene of the tragedy, where the lecture hall was, where this all happened. In front of Cole Hall, there were 5 Huskies set up. Huskies is the name of the team and the school mascot, the Husky. There were 5 Huskies set up. They were all adorned with ribbons, and there were flowers piled deep around them. But what he noticed was the 6th Husky that had been knocked over on its side, its back turned toward the others, and shoved underneath the base of a pine tree nearby. He just couldn't leave his flowers there. So then as he wandered campus, he came to the snow hill. That's the big hill where the maintenance guys push all the snow from the parking lots. Right? Came to the snow hill, and there were 6 crosses standing up out of the snow hill. 5 of them facing out, adorned with ribbons and notes and flowers cascading around them. The 6th cross, slightly removed, turned with its back toward the others, and nothing around it. He couldn't leave his flowers there either. So he wandered around campus some more. He found at least one other memorial, 5 crosses with piles of flowers and notes hanging all over them. And increasingly discouraged and distressed, he walked down the street, and then he saw the 6 crosses draped in purple and red in front of the Lutheran Campus Ministry Center, all facing forward, all facing east. And he looked closer as he got closer, and he found messages of hope scrawled on them. Messages of hope. And that's where he left his gift. He placed his flowers there among the many that had already been left. So then, as I said, he went inside, and over a hot cup of coffee, he asked Pastor Diane, that 6th cross on the snow hill, with its back turned toward the world, does that mean that God turned his back? God turned his back on that boy who shot the others? And Pastor Diane said, God never turns away from his children. But instead, God promises to be with us, all of us, always. God's love and mercy are for all, for you, for those slain, and for those who rob others of their life, for those who struggle to forgive. God will never turn from the children that God has created. And then through his tears, this man confided in her. You know, that boy who hurt the others, that could have been my son. I worry about my boy. He's not well. And he won't take his medication. And I'm afraid at what he might do. And I'm afraid that God will turn his back on him, and that the world will turn their back on him and on me. That's why there were 6. That's why there were 6 identical crosses, all draped in red and purple, all facing east. 6 crosses for 6 children of God, all victims. One, a victim of his mental illness and all the demons that possessed him as a result of all of that. The others, victims of his senseless act of violence. All 6 left behind hurting, grieving, confused, and frightened families. All 6 bore witness to the world that God loves all, that God gives hope to all, and that God has mercy and compassion for all. How we understand what it means that God so loved the world that he gave his only Son depends on our image of God. Is God primarily a God of judgment for you or a God of love? And how we see God, how we image God, is reflected in how we treat others, especially those who are different. Different beliefs, different customs, different skin color, different faiths, whatever the difference is. And it's especially concerning those who do terrible things. We must always remember that it's by grace. By grace we have been saved, not by our own merit, so that no one may boast and no one may judge. Because no one's more deserving of God's love than anyone else. Because God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, Jesus, who came for all. And it's our task to live as though we actually believe that. Amen.